Good morning and welcome to the Daily Progress. This morning we will be hosting a special guest to discuss the issues on progressivism and muckrakers. We will also be discussing the controversy that was brought by the meat packaging industry and the recent law that was put in place by the government.
Later in today's show, we will also be discussing the positives and negatives that have been brought about by progressivism.
Without further ado, we would like to welcome the great man himself, Mr. President.
Thank you for having me.
Today we will be talking about your view on muckrakers.
Yes, well, I have my pros and my cons towards muckrakers. On one hand, they are great for exposing the horrible conditions of workers and their families, but on the other hand, they aren't trustworthy.
Why aren't they trustworthy?
Well, after reading The Jungle by Upton Sinclair, I found myself appalled by the working conditions in meat factories. I didn't want to believe it because I love my sausage, so I sent two of my best men for an inspection, and what they found disgusted me.
And have you done anything to change these conditions?
Yes, I have actually. I passed the Meat Inspection Act. This act provides inspections for factories to show that everyone is doing their job and the packaging of food is being safe.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Without you, the muckraking movement would not be possible. You have shaped this country to not believe in lies. Thank you again for being on the show with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
This newscast was brought to you by the Kodak camera. No need for prior photography knowledge with our new model. It's so easy to use, even a child can operate it. No need to use for a darkroom or harsh chemicals. With our new built-in roll of film, there's no more need for slides. Each roll of film can hold up to 100 images to ensure you capture each and every precious moment.
There were many successful goals during the progressive era, but some that I think was a significant change to society was the creation of the 18th and 19th Amendment. The 18th Amendment was ratified in 1918, prohibiting the manufacture, sale, or transportation of alcoholic beverages. The 19th Amendment guarantees all women the right to vote. There were many organizations that were against alcohol consumption. For example, the Anti-Saloon League, who were all for prohibition. Many women's rights movements were in action during the Reform movement. Women fought for their rights, especially the right to vote. After 70 years, women finally got the right to vote.
There are also many unsuccessfully reached goals of the progressive era. Racial segregation was a major issue that was not fixed during the progressive era. Many of those belonging to the African, Asian, and Hispanic communities were still segregated from the white communities. When the government established a set of laws known as the Jim Crow laws, racial communities were supposed to be separated but equal, which means that all while communities were separated, they all had the same commodities. However, due to the lack of reinforcement on such laws, some communities received poor utilities and were treated far worse than the respected white communities. It wasn't until 50 years after the progressive era that all races received equal rights and segregation was banned.
This newscast was brought to you by the Shoals Visual Typewriter, revolutionizing the business world since 1874. Secretaries have never written reports faster than before. No other typewriter can compare to ours, with our retail price starting at only $60. Built with fewer parts to ensure that you will never be thrown out of alignment again.
I would like to introduce the most famous muckraker, Ms. Tarbo.
Hello.
Ms. Tarbo, what are your views as a muckraker?
First, I do not appreciate the term muckraker. I simply have the duty as a daughter to expose the dirty truths about the Standard Oil Company.
Why do you feel that you have to expose these hidden truths about the Standard Oil Company?
Rockefeller and his sly trusts steal businesses beneath their feet. All Rockefeller does is bankrupt small businesses for entertainment. He therefore leaves no competition and is affecting the economy by doing so.
How did Rockefeller impact the family's business?
Rockefeller ran my father's oil company out of business. He has also done worse to other business owners. Rockefeller has negatively impacted the people of the United States, and his tactics must be exposed to the government. I will work as hard as I can to expose this robber baron until I can no longer fight.
Thank you, Ms. Tarbo, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of the Daily Progress.
See you next week.